Week 6, here we go. Starting off with the Giants and the Eagles. Game isn't going exactly how some people thought. Giants fans are happy. Eagles fans are wondering what the hell's going on. And did the players only meeting mean absolutely nothing? Nutmeg, week 6, what's going on?
Not your father's players only meeting, Bucks McGee.
Nah, players only meetings are overrated. Overrated. But doesn't seem to be helping the Eagles that much.
No, yeah, definitely not. Definitely not the way anyone kind of chalked this game up to be. Uh, and interesting enough, Jackson Dart came off, boom, like right out of a cannon in this one. He kind of slowed down a little bit. Philadelphia kind of got their feet back under them a little bit, and then the Giants started to catch fire again a little bit. So it's a close game and a half, but it doesn't feel as close as it is.
No, it doesn't. Got to give Giants all the credit, especially Dart. He's learned from last week for sure. Looks very good, very decisive in the pocket, moving around very well. Eagles, I just don't know what it is. It's just, I don't know what this offense is. They started out strong with Saquon running the ball. Then they went to the pass a little bit, but it just seems for some reason their defense just can't figure out the Giants.
Yeah, and tip of the cap to you because you've been a big Scatabo fan since they drafted him, and he's been a huge factor in this one so far.
Yeah, first quarter or so seemed, kind of off, just running right into the pocket. I mean, right into the middle of the line there. But second quarter, they got him on some designed runs. Looked like he was starting to open some things up. I think that's when the offense really started to do something, when they decided to, throw some screen passes, move some things outward instead of just going straight up the middle. But Jackson Dart's the real deal so far. You got to give him credit. And the Giants are looking good right now.
It's funny that he can look so good against this Eagles team, the defending champs, and then they laid the potato against New Orleans.
Yeah, I just think, honestly, it was a situation where he was just trying to do too much. And I think they were able, looks like they've simplified the offense a bit. He doesn't have most of his weapons, so it's basically him and just a bunch of guys that were on the practice squad, it looks like. But they've been able to figure some things out, keeping it simple for him to run the offense. The Eagles, it's like they just don't know what they're doing. It's like all this talent, and they just can't figure it out. So the second half is going to be critical, because if the Eagles drop this game, there's going to be a whole lot of talk in Eagles Town.
You're not the only Scatabo fan in town. Lou and Sarah of We Beach here, big fans of Scatabo too. Maybe he's on their fantasy team, hoping for big things.
Telling you, man, watching him last year, at Arizona State, the guy's incredible. You just hope he doesn't bang his head too hard. He runs with a lot. Seriously, he runs with a lot of power, a lot of enthusiasm, but it's got to, calm it down a little bit. But hey, what works for him. Heck of a first half, and I think you're going to see a lot of them the second half.
Do you agree with this opinion of late to ban the tush push? Because I mean, for me, I see the tush push as just a fancy version of a QB sneak, which is a tale as old as time.
Well, now that they've broken this down even more, where they're telling the refs to watch the guards, because a lot of teams are saying the guards are moving before the snap of the ball and all of this, like it needs to either be banned, or they've got to figure out a way where if you're going to run it, you're literally going to have a ref watch the guards themselves and start throwing flags if they are indeed moving before the snap of the ball. So you hate to see someone ban a play because a team can't stop it. But if it is, in fact, they're getting off the line before the snap of the ball, then there's some problems there. So, some teams have been able to, kind of not neutralize it, but slow it down a bit. It's just until the league makes a conscious decision, or all, a majority at the, owners meeting say, you know what, we're done with it. This play is here to stay. You just got to stop the Eagles from getting third and short. That's how you stop it.
to that point, there's also rules in place to avoid that already exist and have been around forever. There's false starts, there's neutral zone infractions. So it almost feels like trying to do something extra that's not necessary because really, if that's the case, then the officials just need to call the rules as they've always been called.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where it's interpretation. Certain things can be reviewed, certain things can't. If that's the case, if the league really wants to keep the play in, but appease everybody, when the Eagles run it, allow the opposite team to sit there and review it. If they think something happened, if they it's a false start or something, let it be reviewable. Like that's all. That's what you're going to have to do. Teams will have to sacrifice. If they're wrong, lose a timeout. But if they're right, after a while, the Eagles may say, you know what? They're kind of figuring it out. Let's figure something. We got to do something else.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to be able to legislate this thing. So the only other way is play solid defense and keep them in 3rd and 5s.
They certainly need to figure something out because losing the Giants is not exactly the best type of game look on the season.
Well, you got to give the Giants, defensive line, credit. They're getting pressure. That we've talked about that. That's a strength of this team, this defensive line. Abdul Carter and those guys are quick, fast, and are getting, making it tough for Hurts to really move in the pocket. So Giants don't care. It's going to be ugly, but if they pull it out, they're perfectly fine with that.
Some big news heading into the week, and a topic we've been kicking around on the show quite a bit lately is, of course, the Baltimore Ravens. And now, going into Friday, Lamar Jackson still has not practiced this week, and they welcome the Rams in town. I would highly doubt their ability to rebound from their 1-4 start if Lamar Jackson is not there to face LA.
I don't even think if he plays, they bounce back. Their
Oh,
defense is horrible.
yes.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Even when Lamar was there, the last 2 weeks, it's been horrible. Their defense has given up how many points a game? It's a situation where you almost have to talk about them in a Cincinnati Bengals way. Okay, you put up 35, but your defense has given up 37. Like that's okay. Lamar comes back. They can't stop a nosebleed, so it's going to be a shootout. The Rams defense is hell of a lot better. So no, until this defense can turn this thing around, I don't care who you got at quarterback. You're going to score points, but the other team's going to score more.
Yeah, they can't. No, they can't stop anything. And the the problem also is that the not only do they give up a ton of points, but the Rams boast an extremely proficient offense already this year, as they usually do.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a 50 spot on the road.
Yeah, and it would be a sneaky 50 because it's not like they're pouring it on. It's just through the game. Next thing you know, they're just like, okay, they've got 15, they've got 30. Wait a minute, how did they get 45? It's just that's just how they run, and their defense is solid. It's young, it's fast, it's a good defense. So it's just a situation of can in any way, shape, or form, can the Ravens defense slow down the Rams? I don't think so. Cooper Rush, don't trust him. It's just a bad situation. It's going to be a heavy dose of Derrick Henry, and they're gonna hope for something to happen. But I don't think this game's going to be pretty at all.
To your comparison on the Bengals, that's a very interesting mix of defenses in the AFC North, where the Ravens have a pitiful defense, the Bengals have a pitiful defense, the Steelers, they've turned the corner a little bit of late, but they also given up 30 plus a couple times this season. And then you have the Browns, who have easily the best defense of all, but it's like by a wide country mile between them and everyone else.
Their defense will give up 19, 20 points, but they can't score 17. So it's like
yeah, completely the opposite. Completely the opposite as everyone
else. But as of right now in that division, the Steelers are the class of that division.
Oh, I know that hurts to say.
Oh, at some point, and a lot of people are like, oh, when Lamar gets back, it's going to turn around and it's fine and they can still make the playoffs. I'm telling you now, if they don't win this weekend, it's over. I don't see this team bouncing back from a 1-5. I just don't think they're that good
Lock the door on the
defensively.
fraudulent penthouse. You're not letting them out.
Nope, it's done. There you go. Now we might have to open up another wing. Who knows? We'll see in a couple weeks if someone else ends up, peeking their head in. But right now, the Ravens are lock, stock, and barrel. The fraudulent team of the year. It is what it is. And if they don't make the playoffs this year, it gets that bad, then they really need to start talking about Harbaugh, and maybe there needs to be a different voice in that locker room.
Yeah, this is like the perfect storm of big changes to come if they were ever going to come.
There are other teams dealing with injuries and things of that nature. Those teams are treading water or even playing better. With all the talent on this team, I don't understand how they're staring 1-5 in the face.
Yeah, it's very much unfathomable. Um, Next up, speaking of quarterback news, interesting news item this week kind of took people by a little bit of a, I don't know, by surprise, but certainly an eyebrow raise. Joe Flacco is the savior for Cincinnati. Seems kind of hard to fathom at this point. I mean, you'd think between Cousins, Rust, and Jameis Winston, somebody, you'd figure of all the quarterbacks out there for the Bengals to go after, Joe Flacco is your best option.
Yeah, it's one of those really good interdivision trades. Yeah, okay. Um, Whatever, man. I don't know. Their offensive line is horrible, so it does him no good. I guess this is Cincinnati thinking they're appeasing their fans and everybody, looking to make a change, trying to make a change, hoping for, a playoff push possibly. But yeah, um, Kirk Cousins wasn't going to happen. Atlanta's just dumb as dirt. They swear they're going to get like first round, material for Kirk Cousins. No one's going to give you that, but whatever. We see what Atlanta does. They're Atlanta. The Giants, yeah, like why not ship off, one of the two guys you got there. I don't know if Wilson has a no trade clause or anything. I wouldn't think so. Let Jameis. I think Jameis would be great in Cincinnati. I think
Yeah.
Jameis would be great. He's still got talent, but Cincinnati does what Cincinnati does. So now you're going to see geriatric Joe Flacco go out there. I guess he's going to throw 36, 37 times and throw for $400 or $500. 400, sorry, three, for 400 yards. I don't get it. It's the worst thing I've seen. It's a joke. But hey, Cincinnati, good luck with that.
Well, to that point, I will say, I mean, the Packers defense was a unit that started off the season with a lot of hype between acquiring Parsons and then their aggressiveness early on. But their defense is very much kind of taken one on the chin of late. So even before even with Browning, before they brought in Flacco, I kind of looked at this matchup as I don't really trust the Packers in this.
I don't trust. No, even with the Packers and the questions, that defense is good. That defense is going to feast on that offensive line. This offensive line is horrible, and you're going to stick Joe Flacco back there. The man can't move. He just can't move. How
Yeah.
Michael Parsons is going to have like 4 sacks. Joe Flacco's career is about to end. We're about to see the end of Joe Flacco. He's going to take one blindside hit and the party's over. A hip is going to go. It's going to be a mess. So it's a one and done for Joe Flacco. Now, I'm saying this, and next thing you know, he throws for like 500 yards for some reason, finds the fountain of youth for at least one game. Maybe this is the game, but I don't foresee it. That offensive line is going to have to be incredible. They can't run the ball. Brown has disappeared from last year's great run he had last year. Run game non-existent. It's sad for Cincinnati. I don't think they can handle the Packers. I think there might be a little bit of rust, for the Packers, but no, I don't see them winning. I don't see Cincinnati winning this game.
It also reeks of a total desperation move. The fact that you bring in Flacco and he doesn't even have enough time to read the playbook, let alone learn it, and you're just like, oh yeah, throw it in. I mean, that's got one. It's a super vote of no confidence in Jake Browning, and two, it just like it really makes Zach Taylor look extremely desperate.
Oh, it does. At this point, if I'm Browning, man, once my contract's up, I'm out of there. No, if you couldn't, you really didn't believe in me, and you had to bring in Joe Flacco. No, I'm good. So you've got that. Um, the coaching staff are just dead men walking. I can't blame them that much. Like ownership has done nothing to make this team good. Let's be realistic. They let their and I have nothing against Joe Burrow, nothing at all. But you let your quarterback basically run your team. Said, okay, this is what I want. Give it to me. So you gave it to him, but not at all saying, well, our defense is horrible. Our offensive line is a mess. We got to put some money there, Joe. But you
what
didn't,
was
and here you are.
what was that presser they asked him a question of? I don't know whether it was this year or previous year, whenever it was, but I caught the video recently of it where they asked Joe, oh, when you get hit, do you like it? Does it make you feel like football's back? And he pauses for a second, and goes, I don't like it as much as I used to.
Yeah, Joe, but you made sure your guys got all their money, but it wasn't the right guys.
Yeah.
It wasn't the right guys. So, this is what you've got. And yet again, now you're on the sidelines, hopefully back before the beginning of the year. Who knows? But no, Cincinnati's getting what it deserves, unfortunately. And there's going to be a point where other guys on this team are going to say, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. We're not good. Yeah, we might put up some points, but we can't stop anything. You're going to end up just getting worse.
I imagine this will be a nationally aired game because of the stature of the teams going into the season. I feel like it's not going to be a very good feature on America's Game of the Week.
It's Joe Flacco, man. He puts butts in the seats. Everybody knows that.
Yes, everyone comes to see number 5.
Exactly. Number 5, here I am. Sponsored by Geritol Complete.
Yeah. Or at least the artist formerly known as number 5. I don't even know. I don't think he's worn 5 in a while.
If anyone out there has a fantasy team that's like 0-4, 0-5, pick up Joe Flacco. Just put him in. See what he does for you. Maybe he has a great game and it's like, wow, there's hope. There's hope for him. I don't know, but it's not going to be pretty. And Cincinnati, you know what? Cincinnati's got the extra set of keys to the fraudulent penthouse. And that's due to their ownership. So that's what it is. So the AFC North runs the penthouse.
Yes, that's right. A couple interesting games this week. I think this is a bit of a surprising matchup between playoff hopefuls. One of which is your Bucks opponent from last week. They had after hosting a Florida team, now they head to Florida to play another team, taking on the Jags, coming off a huge emotional win over the Chiefs, where Trevor Lawrence ran around like a lost child, and the Chiefs couldn't manage to tackle him, resulting in a victory over KC, forcing the Chiefs into sub 500 territory. This is I maybe we preference this matchup by which of these teams is more true to their record. Are Seahawks a legit 3-2? Are the Jags a legit 4-1?
I think most people would say the Seahawks are a more legit 3-2 team. I don't know if people are 100% sold on the Jags just yet. I think they would take the game last week as a perfect example. If Chris Jones, stops pouting, on the line and actually runs after Trevor Lawrence doesn't score that touchdown. Let's be real. But, Chris Jones likes to mope and get an attitude from, every once in a while, whatever. But I don't think people look at the Jags and say, yeah, I'm confident they're going to win this game. It's, well, hopefully their run game or, Trevor can make a throw, because sometimes it just seems like it's luck of the Irish so far this year. I don't know. But if they can beat the Seahawks, then I think a lot of people will sit there and say, all right, okay, they got to be legit then. This is probably the game.
Particularly with Seattle's newfound uh, reputation as a road warrior, as an unbeatable road warrior.
Yeah, because they sure as heck can't win at home. So, this is key. If they can beat the Hawks at home, they're good to go. It's gonna be fun to see how this goes. I think the Jags have a good defense. I think their defense is solid. It's just the offense is just so you don't know what you're gonna get. And I think a lot of people are literally saying that like this is the year. If Trevor can't really take that next step, then he's just going to be that middle of the road quarterback, and all that hype he came into the league is gone, and he's just average, highly average.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that being said, who wins this game?
Wow, wow, wow. This is interesting. Uh, I don't know, man. Like I don't know. Like there's something that for some weird reason that says, you know what? Maybe the Jags are going to hit a streak, but I also am like, all right, are they? Is it going to be? Is there going to be too much emotion spent from last week's win, and they're going to come out kind of flat? Because I think the Seahawks are licking their wounds from last week's game, and they're going to
Yeah.
want to make a statement. So it's going to be, can the Jags come in under control? Because you got to leave last week. Last week it was a great win, but you got to move on. And then the Seahawks are like, okay, well, we lost last week. We got to turn the page and we got to handle business. So they're both coming in looking for a win. And I think the Jags may need it a little bit more, being 3-2.
Yeah, it's a ripe situation for a classic letdown game.
Oh man, it's gonna be a great one. Gonna be a great one.
The other game that caught my eye is your game. Tampa Bay. They're back home. They host the Niners, both 4-1. I think probably Tampa's expectations over the last couple of years not super surprising to be 4-1. Although, as we say every week, they tend to find a difficult way to get there. Uh, and then the Niners, a little bit surprising 4-1, but because, as you've eloquently put it, they are the walking mash unit. So, is there a concern here with the Niners based on how they've played in spite of the injuries?
No, no, and I don't mean to be cocky, arrogant, but as long as I got a shot with 2 minutes left and Baker Mayfield as my quarterback, I can do anything. It's and you always want your team to, you're like, you don't want to have to go through the heartache of waiting 2 minutes and seeing what's going to happen. That's like blood pressure medicine. Like Sarah at this point wants me to see a doctor. She thinks, at some point I'm going to explode. I'm okay though. But it's just, you win the close games. It builds the confidence. But the Niners are an interesting situation. Like I don't know if Purdy's starting this week. I don't know. I think there's a good shot it's going to be Mac Jones. Now, Mac Jones has an oblique injury too. So it's going to be a situation where if it's Mac Jones and if the Bucks can get some hits on him, then who knows? So it's going to be interesting. But it's like I said, the Niners are a walking mash unit. I think they're holding out Kittle for one more week. So I think Kittle actually comes back next week. And it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Both teams have injuries on both sides of the ball. It's just going to be who plays the cleaner game.
It's if everything's equal and Mac Jones isn't hurt, if I'm Shanahan, I just ride Mac Jones until he can't do it anymore. I mean, at this point, Purdy has to prove himself again. I don't care that you just paid him $60 million.
Yeah, that works in Madden, but unfortunately in our world, you're paying a guy 60 mil, he's gonna be starting, and that's what it is. And then at that point, Purdy's got to prove that he's worth the money. So some people, I honestly think that he wasn't worth that money, but we've talked about this. When the way the quarterback market is, if you don't want to lose your quarterback, you're going to overpay. The Giants were a perfect example of that when they overpaid for, Daniel Jones, $45 million. He wasn't worth the $45 million, but they needed a quarterback. They thought he was the guy. Lo and behold, he wasn't, and now he's Indiana Jones.
Yeah. He
You
wasn't worth the
know,
money until he started to don the shoe.
exactly, exactly. Once you go to Indianapolis, that's where the money's at. That's where your talent shows. So it's the Niners are, and we talked about this in the preseason. Their window is, to me, it's pretty much closed. They're going to have to catch on a hot streak and somehow finagle their way through the NFC. And right now, I don't know if they can. I don't think they can do it.
And you're just coming off a performance against Seattle's defense, who is a very, very good unit this season, and the Niners unit who's been okay, but also had their share of injuries. So in theory, it should be not as tall a task for Baker to go up against.
No, it shouldn't. But at the same time, it's one of those things where you want to get off to the fast start. You want things to open up. Chris Godwin's still, getting acclimated. So it's, the Emeka Ibuka show. And believe me, the kid's been incredible. He's unbelievable. But you don't want to run him into the ground either. So you're hoping these other guys. I'd like to see a little more out of Cade Otton. We saw that earlier in the game against Seattle, and then they kind of went away from him at the end of the game. Bucky Irvin, I think, is sitting this game out as well. So it's going to be Rachaad White, Sean Tucker. White's shown that he can handle the load. So I think the run game is, as long as it can be solid, and definitely you're going to see a lot of passing out of the backfield. It's just going to be, it's going to come down to the defense. And as long as, the Bucs play solid defense, can get some pressure, a couple turnovers here and there, I think they'll be all right.
And it's also Tampa. So the way we go, as far as we know, it'll be a 3-touchdown deficit, and Baker will climb away out of the hole and then have a chance at a game-winning drive to close it out.
Yeah, then I'll be in the hospital, and I'll talk to y'all next week. I don't know, man. It's craziness, but that's what Baker does. I'll take it. You take what your guy can give you, and it's been entertaining. It's been a blast. But yeah, I'd like to be done with the Niners by like mid fourth quarter and just be confident. Maybe Teddy Bridgewater gets some play, can take some knees or whatever and call it a day. But whatever gets you to the big dance, you take that. You take that path.
I wouldn't want Teddy to see the field just for the fact that he sends your receivers to the injured reserve, but that's another story entirely.
Yeah, that's
um,
true. We'll see. See, at that point, we're just gonna run the ball. We'll be good. We'll hand it off.
yeah. Um, Another game, the Sunday nighter. The Chiefs obviously have some soul searching to do after that Monday nighter against the Jags that we spoke about, and it's not exactly the best second coming to tee off against when you come off of that game, and then you have to host the Lions, who are red hot coming into Arrowhead.
Yeah, yeah. I think the Lions are smelling blood, and this is gonna be interesting. This game, honestly, this if the Chiefs lose this game, I think a lot of people are gonna say, all right, the mystique is over, and it's panic time. Like this is
Panic.
serious stuff. It's not. It'd be different if the Jets were coming to town. I'd think, all right, so they'll. I'm sure the Chiefs will play crappy, but they'll pull out a win out of this. But yeah, it's the Lions, and I don't know if they match up. If you're telling me the Lions are able to put up 35 points, I don't think the Chiefs can match that. It's going to be interesting to see because the Chiefs now solely they rely on this defense. They are a defensive first team. This offense is putrid. Like last week, I don't even remember. I don't know how many times I even saw Travis Kelce. Like let's be real. Like who's the offense?
He did catch a
I guess
touchdown last week.
he did, but would you say he was a vital part of that offense? It
I
wasn't like
mean,
it
I
wasn't
guess
he wasn't moving. He
I
wasn't.
guess
It wasn't Travis Kelce of 2 or 3 years ago, where like the offense moves through
no,
him. So it was we're gonna bomb it to
no.
Thornton, Worthy, and all right, Travis, you're open. Oh my God, here you go.
He's not the game breaker. He's the focal point for strictly a lack of other options.
Yeah, but see, the problem is that at the height of their powers, he was the guy. He made that offense run because at that point, everyone was so concerned about the
Yes.
middle. The burners out there on the edges there were having a field day. Now it's like, all right, let the old man rumble around. No one cares about Travis Kelce anymore. Like it's like, and there's it's not no disrespect, but like, come on, man, it's not there anymore. So it's your run game is non-existent. Everyone's like, oh, well, wait till Rashid Rice comes back. Okay, still. So that's one guy they're going to really guard and let the other two burners just run around. You might as well bring back, freaking MVS and let him run around there for, half the game. Like, come on, dude. This game isn't pretty. I think the Lions are going to handle business. And I think at that point, Denver is the team to beat in the West.
Well, that's a very humbling moment if the Lions can get their offense going in this one because the Chiefs defense, like you said, that's been their bread and butter this season. And if they get a crooked number hung up on them, their offense can't catch up as it's been prone to struggle of late. That's a very soul searching black eye for the Chiefs to deal with going into another week.
Yeah, because I honestly think the problem is this. The Chiefs defense is going to be on the field way too much and they're going to get tired. And we've talked about this. When it doesn't matter how an elite defense is. If they're on the field too long, they're going to tire out. And with the weapons that the Lions have, something's gonna crack. And
They
then
can't
next thing you
guard
know,
all.
the floodgates are going to open. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Gibbs and Montgomery on the field at the same time. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be too fast, I think, for the Chiefs to match up and try to go score for score.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. Could be wrong. Maybe all of a sudden Jared Goff gets a case of the yips and throws 3 picks and it ends up being an ugly 21-17 game. But I don't think so.
Almost to the point where Patrick obviously can be cool as a cucumber in high pressure moments, but if they get in a situation where he has to pass, the Lions defense, whatever growing pains they're going through, those deficiencies look a lot less obvious, and they could make Patrick struggle.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things where we're so used to like there being a leak or something happening and someone gets free and Patrick finds them and next thing you know they've it's a points bonanza, but it's not like that anymore. And how that offense used to run like that was Travis Kelce because he'd break off his routes and do his thing. He's not that fast anymore. It's like, so who's that guy? Thornton has been a nice surprise, but he just runs down the field. That's what their wide receivers do. I don't know the last really good route runner, not named Travis Kelce, wide receiver wise.
Yeah, I can't even necessarily put Reek in that category because he was a burner.
He was a burner. He was able to make some cuts and stuff, but at the same time, that was also the beginning of the height of the powers where Travis was doing his thing. So defenses didn't know who to take. Now it's like, all right, let Travis rumble around there, play in the mud, and then let these guys, we'll figure it out. We'll put a shell and use. It's, I don't know. It's one of those things where I think some teams just stick with the same formula and it works for so long. But sometimes you got to cut it a year or so early to continue what you want to do. It's kind of like Bill Belichick. He'd cut a player a year early instead of a year late.
Yeah. Well,
So
he might be cutting his first season at UNC a bit short too.
oh, dude, he don't care, man. His payout, nice. I'd be like, all right, see you later. Cha-ching.
Yeah. His buyout and his 24-year-old girlfriend for his 70-year-old body.
Don't be jealous, man. It's just man. Let's just be real, man. The man's living the life. You got to give Bill his props. We can sit there and talk all the crap we want about Bill, but when everyone's that age, they're like, damn.
Damn. Yeah.
Give me the bank account. Give me the rings. Okay, she's 24. Maybe you popping 4 or 5 blue pills, but you're living the life on your boat.
That's right.
You're walking down the street with her arm in arm. Dudes are going. Respect.
Onto our favorite segment, the extra points. Is it too early to have the hot seat discussion in week 6?
It's never too early. Let's go. It's good. Dun, 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 dun.
The first one is something we spoke about last week. Jonathan Gannon, after that collapse the Cardinals had against the Titans, now they go on the road to face my Colts. How bad is the outlook of this game for Arizona? And if they get embarrassed, is this a game that the whispers could start getting louder and louder and louder?
Well, let's see. Kyler Murray, foot issue, didn't practice today. If he doesn't practice tomorrow, probably not playing. If that's the case, then I think it becomes an issue. I don't know how you really trust the Cardinals. At this point, the run game's been, it's been by committee. It's been all right. You hope your, running backs hold on to the ball when they run through the end zone.
Yeah.
So, hold on one minute. Excuse me. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, I think. Yeah, there are whispers. I don't know if the head coach gets bounced, but I think the Cardinals at some point have looked for a reason to kind of move on from Kyler. Like it just never feels like they love him. Like after the whole, Call of Duty thing and everything, it's just been like, okay, he's our quarterback. Yeah, he's great. But like there just hasn't been that, I feel like, that love affair. So if he doesn't play and they get bounced, you might start hearing some things, but I think the head coach finishes the season. But I think you kind of watch Kyler Murray in the offseason. They may decide to move on.
Yeah. I think there's a very high probability it's blow up time in the desert if
their defense
really
is decent
right now.
Yeah, defense is decent. They've got some pieces on offense, but I think maybe you need a new quarterback. Could very well be it, and that's fine. It happens. Joe Flacco may be available. Who knows?
Feels like a shame because they actually got off to a half decent start this year, and the wheels have slowly come off.
But it's always Arizona. There's always a pocket of games where it's like, okay, maybe this is where they're starting to look good. They're starting to look good, and then they bottom out, and then you're like, all right, well, so much for that. They're good. You hope they're your pick for Survivor. You hope the pocket you pick is the team that's when you need them, because if not, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah, that's what happened to me last week. Fortunately, it's a strike pool, so I'm not completely eliminated yet.
There you go. Always hope.
Yes. Next up, now, I mean, I can't really say with a straight face that Aaron Glenn should be on the hot seat. It is his first year. Obviously, the rope's going to be a little longer for rookie coach, but the Jets are 0-5. So, I mean, how long does this leash go into next year, considering the fact that they are in London this week against the Broncos, coming off a huge win on the Eagles, and like you said, with Kansas City being in the situation they are in, very much in the driver's seat for the AFC West.
Can't we ever get a good overseas game? I would like to once wake up for a 9:30 game and actually want to enjoy it. Like literally, I think the last one was I think it was like Bucs and the Hawks a couple of years ago, and that's when Brady tried to catch a ball and it didn't work. But that's besides the point. But I don't know. Honestly, the Jets are a malfunctioning organization because the ownership is a mess, and the ownership just when the owner wakes up and has an itch and wants to change things, they just let him do it. He's kind of like Jerry Jones Jr.
Yeah.
Except he has a general manager. So here's the thing. It wouldn't surprise me at the end of the season if they're like, oh, this just didn't work out. All right, Aaron, have a nice life and move on. It wouldn't surprise me.
Oh.
I would hope that they would say, okay, fine. Let's give it another year. But look what you did. I hoped that Justin Fields was gonna, do something great and turn it around. He hasn't been good. They should have signed Mac Jones. Mac Jones was 2 years, $8 million, and look at him. He's living a high life in San Fran. So it's. I don't think they fire him, but I do think it's New York, so you're going to hear things more and more. Hopefully, they can get on a little bit of a streak and kind of have a solid second half. But right now, they're just going to have to ride this out. And yeah, Denver's licking their chops.
Yeah, it's like you see the Jets on your schedule, but your eyes get wide.
You're like, all right, this is where we turn it around. We had a loss last week. All right, we're playing the Jets. We're good. They're like bye week.
Bye week.
And the problem is that the Jets haven't been horrible. Like they play hard. They just don't get like the chips just don't fall their way. But it's like there are a couple other games where you're like, gosh, you guys just can't do it. Like, what's wrong with you? So it's a culture thing. I think Aaron Glenn is the right guy. You have to at least give him 2 years to do it.
Yeah, it's almost when in the lens of management being so dysfunctional. I think the fact that they avoid the fraudulent penthouse discussion because this has been going on for about 15 years.
Yeah, they're not fraud. They're not fraudulent because we think they are bad. So they're not lying to us. I can't put truthful individuals in the fraudulent penthouse because they're not lying to me. That's who they are.
Yeah, you're genuinely bad. It's okay. We feel for you.
I don't want to put you in that penthouse. I'd feel bad. At least you're true to who you are. Baltimore's lied to me.
Yeah.
Baltimore's that girl in high school who you dated and you were like, oh, you thought she loved you and she told you guys were going to be together when you went to college. And then when you both went to separate colleges, she just decided to start dating like the moment she got off the bus and moved her stuff in her room when she was in Kappa Pi or whatever for, sorority and just left you high and dry. Nah, man, that's what Baltimore is. The Jets, they're that girl who will be with you to the end. It's like my girl. You grew up with her. She's going to be there till the end. She's your ride or die. I don't know if that works, but hopefully someone believes what I just said.
Yeah, I'm sure it resonates. Oh. And last but not least, one of our favorite hot seat topics, Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins. They host the Chargers this week. They're 1-4. I feel like this could be the first nail in the coffin at some point this season because it really just looks like he's lost this team completely.
You see, we say that, but there's always that one game where you somehow play well. You play like we didn't expect it, and then it's like, oh, well, maybe they fixed it. So this could be the game where all of a sudden Tua and the guys kind of figure it out. Oh, look, they play better without Tyreek.
Whoa.
What?
All of a sudden, your confidence in the Chargers has completely waned.
No. I didn't say that. But we've said this now. They're not going 17-0, so they've got to hit a little bump, and maybe Miami. This is the wounded animal where it's like this is the last gasp for air. So this is Mike's like last hurrah. You take your boy out for that last drink or whatever before he goes off into the army, and he becomes a military man. You never see him anymore. He lives the right life, and you guys are still hanging out at the bar in your 40s. And he's like married with kids, living the proper life. That's what this could be. Miami gets that win, and they're like, all right, we're good now. But then following a week, they just bottom out, and it's over. The last hurrah.
I think
this could be the game.
I think this analogy comes to life if they beat the Chargers by some lopsided number, and next week comes and Mike McDaniel's crew cut, suit and tie at the podium, all Mr. Serious.
He's wearing a sweater vest. The whole bit, loafers, but pennies in them. But
yeah, skinny Mike Ditka.
Exactly. But like this, I could see somehow Miami pulling this off. It's just a weird thing. It's the NFL. You get like that one game where you're like, no way in hell. But somehow they do it. But then after that, they just bottom out. It's probably not going to happen. I'm sure the Chargers are going to be like, yeah, okay, they'll play down to Miami for a couple quarters and then turn it around. But yeah, I think if Miami loses, I honestly think ownership has got to say, okay, it's time. It really is. I think everything that's happened there the last couple of years is really just it's way down on Daniels. Let's be real. Like the Tua thing, you got the Tyreek issue this year, and it's just they had all that hype, all that potential, and just never came to fruition.
To your point on it being a bump in the road for the Chargers, this is a hell of a bump in the road to lose to the Giants in Jackson Dart's first start, to lose to this sieve of a Washington defense, and then to pretend if this were to come true and then they lose to the Dolphins, this is not. This might be more than just a bump in the road.
It could be. Like I said, I was, it was a hypothetical situation. We said, oh, Miami, last gasp. Unfortunately, the Chargers are there, but then maybe the Chargers turn it around and go on like a 5-0 run. Because you kind of have to ask the question. It's like, all right, Chargers, you allowed the Giants took it to you. You're like, all right, rookie quarterback. Okay, these things happen. It's not an anomaly. It happens at times. But then, yeah, Washington with that hideous defense, and you guys lose there. So now are you focused? Are you, now Hampton's out. He's an IR. So your run game is rough. Your offensive line is beat up too. So it's not like it's not their fault because they're just stinking right now. They've got injuries on this squad, like a couple other teams, and especially on that offensive line. And let's be real, Herbie was great until that offensive line started falling apart. And now it's like, okay, the run game needs to pick it up. They've got to be able to keep Herbie upright. So maybe this is the game where he turns it around, or maybe the Dolphins win one for the Gipper. They pin it all out, pin the ears back on the defensive line and feast, and somehow good old Coach Mike gets a win. I don't know. It's going to be an ugly game, I think.
One day you're riding high, and the next day you're the Bengals.
Yeah, next day, you got like 100-something million into 3 guys, and who cares about the other guys? But we score a lot of points.
Yay!
We don't win games, but we score a lot of points. Buy those jerseys.
Yeah, we're fantasy darlings nonetheless.
That's it.
Well, Bucks McGee, I don't think we're firing anybody this week, but who knows? Soon enough, it could be the case. Obviously, a lot of quarterback changes and empty holes this week. So take us off here with your final thoughts as we go into week 6.
I want everyone to say prayer for Joe Flacco. He may not make it out of this game alive this week. Cincinnati's offensive line is putrid. This is going to be a hot mess, but hey, who knows? I could be wrong, and they're great. It's going to be some interesting games this week. Are we witnessing the demise of the Chiefs? Has Denver taken the throne over? Who knows? But right now, Giants are up 27-17. So go blue.